So Bernie Sanders on 60 Minutes, not a big interview. Anderson Cooper was not on his game. And Sanders was challenged by Cooper twice in the whole interview. The first time was Sanders' sympathy for Fidel Castro. Go.
But it's unfair to simply say everything is bad. When Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing? Even though Fidel Castro did it?
There's a lot of dissidents imprisoned in Cuba.
That's right, and we condemn that.
Is it a bad thing? Okay, so Mussolini made the trains run on time. That argument is so ridiculous. Now, that seems like an innocuous comment, right? So we all know that Bernie Sanders sympathized with Sandinistas in Nicaragua, with the Castro brothers, with the Soviet Union. We all know. Everybody knows that. He sympathized in the past with those people. But by saying that, Florida now will go to Trump. Because the Cubans who would have considered voting for Bernie Sanders if he's the nominee, of course, in Dade County, big county, biggest county in Florida. No. So he hurt himself in Florida, no doubt about it. So the second one, this is just a question by Anderson Cooper. See if you can pick up the propaganda aspect of this question. Go.
Donald Trump got elected talking to white middle-class Americans, white working-class Americans, promising to make America great again. Your stump speech, your critics say, sounds like nothing works in America, hasn't for generations. Is America great?
Now, did you pick up what Anderson Cooper did? Did you? He said twice. All right? Donald Trump got elected talking to white middle-class Americans, white working-class Americans. That's what Cooper said. So we did a search. Not one speech that Donald Trump has delivered contained a direct reference to skin color, except for his condemnation of the actions in Charlottesville, Virginia. If Biden does win the South Carolina primary, then the Bernie's inevitable talk, that tamps down. Because Bernie's not inevitable. Super Tuesday is a week from today. Now after that, but Bloomberg is going to be a big factor in Super Tuesday. That's the first time he's on a ballot. And he spent hundreds of millions of dollars in those states, Super Tuesday states. So he's going to eat into both Biden and Sanders' vote count. In South Carolina, Bloomberg isn't on the ballot. So it's only between Sanders and Biden. Now, I'm going to give you some inside information in a moment, but I want to be very precise about this. So the latest South Carolina poll from NBC News Marist, 539 people polled. That's not nearly enough, okay? 6% could be wrong, 6%, all right? Margin of error, they call it. Ridiculous. Don't even bother if you can't do 1,000. Anyway, it's got Biden 27, Sanders 23, Tom Steyer 15. Why? Because Steyer's been buying, he's another billionaire. He's buying all kinds of ads in South Carolina. The rest of them, Buttigieg, Warren, Klobuchar, they're not even over 10%. So it's a two-person race. Can't count Steyer. Steyer doesn't mean anything. Steyer's not going to get the nomination. All right, so it's Biden 27, Sanders 23 in the NBC Marist poll. But here's the really interesting poll that you're never going to hear about. This is the internal Democratic Party poll, PPP. They have Biden 36, Sanders 21, Steyer 7. Now that's a landslide. That's the internal polling for the Democratic Party. That's what I can tell you. You're not going to hear that on CNN or MSNBC, because it's to their financial benefit to make it like a dramatic thing. Let's run it down. As I said, the debate got out of control very quickly. Go.
Mr. Steyer.
I think we're talking
we'll
about
get to you,
Matt.
Mr. Sanders.
Let's talk about it.
Can I say something?
Look, first of all,
Bernie, let me go. Let me go.
Tom, I think she was talking about my plan, not yours.
I think we were
All right.
talking about math, and it doesn't take 2 hours to do the math. Because let's talk about what it adds up to. Well, we don't. Let's talk about math indeed. Okay, so here's the math. No, here's the math.
Excuse me, can I respond to
doing
the
nothing is
Senior Citizen Center. Buttigieg visiting. All right. Now, the second soundbite. Let me set this up. So yesterday, not yesterday, 2 days ago, Joe Biden was campaigning in South Carolina. He said he was running for the U.S. Senate. A lot of right-wing commentators and Republicans, conservatives got on him. Anybody can make that mistake. All right, Biden's in the Senate a long time. I've said things, I've misspoken. It can happen. But last night, Biden said something that wasn't a mistake, a verbal mistake. And I don't know what the heck it was. Go.
150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. More than all the wars, including Vietnam, from that point on.
That's insane. 150 million people died from guns since 2007. The number, according to the CDC, is about 400,000. And that includes suicides, accidents, and everything. All right, this is from the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta. That's the number of all gun deaths in the USA. 150 million people. There were less than 100 people killed in World War II in both theaters. So who says that? What kind of a guy says that? It's a guy who has no control over his thought process. Now, I don't want to be uncharitable. I don't. And I, as you know, predicted Biden would get the nomination 6 months ago. But who on earth could vote for Joe Biden when he has no control over what he says? So let's run down Super Tuesday. Alabama. Alabama is a state that the Democrats have no chance to win. And they will lose the Senate seat they now hold there. Alabama will go for Donald Trump no matter what. All right? But in the Democratic precincts in Alabama, it's a tie between Bloomberg and Biden. And Sanders not far behind. I can't predict Alabama who's going to win. I can't. I don't know. California is the big one. 415 delegates. All right? Sanders is going to win that state. Now, in order to get all the delegates, I think he's got to get more than 50%, which he won't, because Biden will come up a little bit in California. And, you know, Warren is there. California cannot get more liberal. It's at the highest state of liberalism in the history of the Golden State. Can't get any more liberal. So you got to assume that Bernie will do well there, and that's the big one. That's going to really help him. Colorado, another very, very liberal state in the progressive precincts. But there's almost as many Republicans/independents as liberal Democrats. But in the Democratic primary, Sanders will win, and it's not even competitive there. He'll win. Maine. All right, Sanders will win in Maine. Biden's got no traction in the Northeast at all. Biden's at 12 in Maine. Sanders will win there. So Sanders got California, Colorado, Maine. Minnesota. Klobuchar's going to win. It's home state. Klobuchar's not going to be the nominee. She's going for VP now, but she's going to win it. Sanders doing all right in Minnesota, very liberal place. Oklahoma. Biden is doing pretty well there. He and Bloomberg are tied. I think Bloomberg's not going to do as well as he thinks on Super Tuesday. Could be wrong, but this is a Biden state, it looks like to me. Tennessee, nobody knows. There hasn't been one poll taken in Tennessee. Tennessee will vote Republican in November. Texas, another big state, 262 delegates for the Democrats. University of Houston poll, Sanders 20, Biden 20, Warren 17. Warren's not going to hold that. So it's a fight in Texas between Bernie and Joe. Utah's got Sanders way out in front. Utah's a Republican state, but those who are liberal are really liberal. So it looks like Bernie is going to win in Utah. Vermont, home state, Bernie will win. Virginia, Bernie's up. Biden is second, but it looks like Bernie's going to take Virginia. So Bernie's going to have a good night on Tuesday. Will he get close to the nominees that he needs? No. And then the following Tuesday, you got 3 more states. Florida's one of them. So the media, which drives all election coverage, as you know, on Wednesday, we'll go Bernie hysteria.